Welcome back to the Clean My Space channel. My name is Melissa Maker. I am an accidental cleaning expert. And in this video, we're going to talk about how to clean a gas cooktop. Now, since I have owned a home, I've always had a glass cooktop, and we have several videos on how to clean that. I'll link them for you down below. But when our most recent stove cooked its last meal, we decided to replace it with a gas cooktop. And that opened up a whole new world of cleaning opportunities. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I clean this stovetop. If you have a gas stove at home, you know you have to take some extra precautions when you're cleaning or cooking. And what I recommend is that you familiarize yourself with kind of the rules of your particular gas stove before you get started on your cleaning journey. So just check out the manufacturer's instructions, whether you look them up online or check the booklet that came with your appliance, because you do have to be mindful about what you remove and how you remove it and what you turn on and off before you start cleaning. The products and tools we're going to be using to do this job are very similar to the products and tools that we use to clean pots and pans. We don't want to cause scratching, but we have a lot of grease and grime and buildup that we need to get rid of. So in looking at the tools we're going to be using, we've got rubber gloves to protect the hand. We've got a cleaning toothbrush and a microfiber cloth, which I'm going to be using to do my wiping and drying. Then I've got all-purpose cleaner, which is essentially dish soap and water. I've got some dish soap for soaking. I've got a heavy-duty dish soap spray. It's a little bit more expensive, but for those heavy-duty areas, I'm going to use this to spray rather than using something like a cream cleanser, because I don't want to have to deal with scraping that out of any of the burners. I've got some water and I've got some baking soda. In the event that I do need to remove any gunk from a burner, I will use baking soda, but I'm going to be mindful because that's going to require a lot of cleanup after. Remember, I don't want to leave anything in there. I'm a firm believer in putting gloves on before attempting any of these heavy-duty jobs. It just makes you feel a little bit more powerful. Now, if it's your first time or first few times cleaning your gas cooktop, you might actually want to record yourself disassembling the top. That way you kind of know where all of the pieces go. Once you do it a few times, you'll be much more confident, but it is a really good thing so that you're not struggling with figuring out where to put everything back. Now, the next step is pre-treating, and I'm going to be pre-treating these burner pieces here, and I'm just using dish soap and baking soda and warm water. Now for the stovetop, you'll see I'm using a heavy-duty dish soap spray, and that's only for spot treating certain areas that are really dirty. The rest of it isn't so bad, so I'm just going to switch to a general all-purpose cleaner, dish soap and water, something DIY and inexpensive, and I'm doing that because it's inexpensive and I don't need to use anything fancier. If this was really grimy, I might use that heavy-duty dish soap spray everywhere, or I might whip up another DIY cleaning recipe, like equal parts dish soap and baking soda to get the job done. Now for the grates, I'm using that same all-purpose cleaner just to get it wet. These aren't too bad, I maintain them pretty well, but for the areas that are dirty, I'm using that heavy-duty dish soap spray. Now that everything that's grimy is pre-treated, I'm going to move on to the easiest part of the job, which for me are these ceramic burners. Now keep in mind, you have to decide what the easiest job is for you to tackle first, and that's the one you want to start with. You want to let everything else pre-soak. A trick that I like to do is after I finish scrubbing, I don't rinse them right away. I sort of let them sit with the soap on them for a little while. That helps to break down any extra grease or grime that I might have missed. And then when I rinse everything off and allow it to dry, you notice it is just that little extra bit cleaner. I've got a waffle weave dish towel here. I'm just gonna lay everything flat to dry. And while I'm doing this, I'm checking on the areas that I've pre-treated. And if I notice that anything is starting to dry, I just re-wet the surface. Now I'm going back to the burners, and again, I'm using the scrub square here just to get into those little nooks and crannies. You want to make sure that this is really, really clean because it can affect how the gas actually comes out, and that can affect cook times and quality. So you really want to get in there with a cleaning toothbrush if you notice that there's any buildup. Then I'm giving these a good rinse. You want to make sure that there's nothing clogging any of these, and I'm allowing them to dry. All right, let's move on to the cooktop, and the pre-treating worked wonders here. I don't have to do much work at all in terms of elbow grease. It's more just agitating and wiping. Now, one thing I want to point out to you is I'm not getting this surface soaking wet and being sloppy with my water. In fact, you'll notice that I'm drying midway so that I don't have to worry about any water going into the stove itself. I don't want to have any issues with any product or water getting into the area where the gas comes out of. Now, for the area where the gas comes out of, those little white outlets, I'm just using a toothbrush to brush around them. If you notice yours are dirty, you can spend a little bit more time on them. Mine weren't that bad. And by blotting up any of that soapy residue, it allows me to see what everything looks like before I give it a final rinsing wipe. So I'm adding a little bit of water here. I have a fresh microfiber cloth, and I'm just going to rinse off all of that soapy residue, and this should get the stovetop nice and clean. Once these are rinsed, I'm going to dry them really, really well. Like I said, they're cast iron and they can rust pretty easily if you don't dry them fully before you replace them. Before I replace everything, I'm just going to give it one last dry, just to make sure. And this would be the time where you replay that video of your assembly in case needed. These should fit together like a puzzle piece, and quite frankly, you shouldn't have to force them. That's something I've learned over the years, putting a lot of these stovetops back together. If it doesn't feel easy and obvious, it's probably not the right spot. My cooktop didn't require too much effort because we stay on top of it. And that's my best advice. If you don't want to have to deal with any of that heavy duty caked on crap, give your stovetop a decent cleaning once a week or so. It doesn't take so long to disassemble, give everything a scrub and put it back, and it really prevents you from having to do that heavy duty, absolutely dreadful scrubbing. And that brings me to this week's comment question, which is, I had to decide what kind of stove and stovetop I wanted. I chose gas for the cooking benefits, although now I sort of regret it for the environmental benefits, and therefore I'd probably go for an induction cooktop. But I'd love to know in the comments down below, what kind of cooktop do you have? Do you like it? Or would you want something else? Let me know. If you want to know how to clean inside a non-self-cleaning oven, we have a video on that. It's right here. And of course, you can support the Clean My Space channel by subscribing and by visiting makersclean.com, where we sell all of our premium microfiber cleaning tools and other wonderful things. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.